My next guest says if the United States wants to continue to lead the world, then we must have babies, more babies, a lot more babies. Joining me now to talk about our demographic decline and the potential consequences on both politics and our economy, Jonathan Last. He's senior writer for the Weekly Standard, author of this brand new book, What to Expect When No One's Expecting, America's Coming Demographic Disaster. Great to have you with us, Jonathan, and congratulations on this terrific book, a very important book. Let's start with, I thought we were doing well. I mean, I hear lots of discussion that amongst industrialized nations, the United States is the youngest, it's doing super, and now you introduce us to the reality.
Well, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king, right? We are doing pretty well among the cohort of industrialized nations. But we're still below the fertility level, below the replacement rate. And the truth is, our real problems have been masked by our immigration. We've had 38 million immigrants over the last 30 years. Strip those people out of our demographic profile, and we look exactly like Europe. Exactly like Europe.
We've also, according to the most recent numbers that I've looked at, is it the Guttmacher Institute?
Yes.
Follows abortions, and we're talking about more than 50 million abortions in this country in the course of the past half century. This is stunning stuff.
Well, it is, and it's particularly when you put it in context. A lot of people don't really realize it's only 4 million births a year in America. So 54 million abortions. You're never supposed to commit math on television, but that's, you know, it's more than a decade's worth of
We
live
sin
births.
here quite often.
Right.
Sometimes with with math, it isn't quite what we intend, but nonetheless, when you talk about 4 million births, that seems like a lot of folks, but this is a very big country now.
It's a big country. And the Rand Corporation did a study on this a few years ago, and they looked at the effect on the fertility rate of abortion. And they found it's a reasonably small effect on whites, a larger effect on Hispanics, and a really significant effect on the fertility rate of Black Americans.
Why is that?
Because Black Americans take recourse to abortion more frequently as a percentage of the population than do the other racial groups. And this is the type of disparate impact that some of us worry about and think is really quite awful.
Well, I think that it's extraordinary that we have so little discussion of these realities in our national media, amongst our political leaders. It wasn't even discussed. It wasn't mentioned on the campaign trail coming off a presidential election. That's stunning stuff. And when we look at the various causes, the impact, we've got in most families in which we're fortunate enough to have two parents available for that one or two children in that home. You're seeing people delay childbirth. They are in some cases delaying or not getting married. We're watching marriage rates decline. What are we to do here?
Well, what's funny is that over in Europe and in Asia, they're more obsessed with demographics even than I am. And demographics is really sort of, the topic A of public policy over there.
Right.
And it's coming to us. The question is, will we turn to this too late? And I hope not. I hope the book sort of begins to spur some discussion. What we need to do is make family life easier for the people who still want to have kids.
Well, so you mean, what are we saying that we should do? I mean, encourage people to get married? Should we be encouraging people to have more children? How do we make it easier to create a family in an environment which, frankly, in this country has become, to me at least, extraordinarily unfriendly to young families?
Well, the good news is that there's a big gap between ideal fertility, that's the number of children that people say they want to have, which is 2.5, and that's been remarkably constant for over 40 years, and actual fertility, which is, as you showed, 1.9. And that shows there's some hope, and what we need to do is sort of, think about policies that might not be explicitly pronatalist, like, for instance, building more highways. People, the cliches are true.
Did you just say building more highways?
Building more highways. I know urban planners don't like to hear this. But people move to the suburbs because, they want to be close to big concentrations of jobs. Suburban life makes it easier to raise a family. Highways increase your access to jobs, but also make it easier to have family life. College. College is a huge problem. The real cost of in college has increased by 1,000% over the last 35 years here. If it were any other sector, we would be saying this is broken. We need to reform it. But because it's college, we pretend it's great.
Well, on this broadcast, we are talking about the fact that one of the biggest bubbles is education, and one of the most poorly run, inefficient institutions in the country is, unfortunately, higher education. Jonathan Last, thanks for being here. The book, I recommend it highly. It is What to Expect When No One's Expecting. It's available online at bookstores everywhere right now.